Hello and welcome everybody to Climate Transformation Summit 2025 in beautiful Berlin at Impact Hub. We just had 2 full days that were packed with a lot of action. Action on what? Scope 3. So let's have a look at what the others say. So let's start with getting to know our guest.
My name's Alice. I run Fairantwortung. It's a non-for-profit in southern Germany for like a business community for just doing sustainable business. So my role here today was the interviewer, and I really loved it. You know, it was easy. I got to sit in the shadows, and I didn't have to sit in the limelight. Everybody else did. They got the spotlight, and I kind of love giving other people the spotlight. I've been working alongside the Climate Choice since basically they started back in 2020. I kind of happened upon their Climate Transformation Summit, the first one they did online back then, and I was completely excited about what they were starting and what they were doing. And so I reached out to Lara, and it's been a really wonderful kind of co-collaboration journey since then. So I've been kind of a media partner supporting your cause since then with just basically kind of being an echo chamber for what you guys do in my network down in southern Germany. So Verantwortung is kind of like when I first started back in 2019, it had been founded in 2013, before the Paris Climate Agreement, before the SDGs, and it was founded by like an entrepreneur and actually like a very successful businessman in the software industry who had said, we need to do more than compliance, and we need to take our responsibility as business owners and go the extra mile. And people were quite excited about it at the beginning, and then it kind of waned a bit, the interest waned a bit. But back in 2019, he asked me whether I could come on board and help him just pick that up again where the threads had been lost. And we've kind of grown to over 100 businesses that are basically intrinsically motivated to do the right thing when they're doing business. And our credo is, look, we're not going to tell you what you're doing wrong. We're basically saying, look, if you take the first step, that's the best thing you can do. And you don't need to be perfect, not in our world. Let's share, collaborate, and find out what the next step is. So it's a lot of what the Climate Choice is doing with decarbonization on Scope 3. We kind of do on a much broader scale for sustainability in business. So we also talk about social impact, we talk about sustainable building, we talk about circular economy, and our job is to basically bring people together, inspire them with good speakers, interesting keynotes, interesting workshops, and to kind of find a path of, okay, that's what I can do as a next step for my business.
And so we are here in this beautiful context of Climate Transformation Summit 2025. And of course, I'm very curious to understand what stood out for you so far.
Today, yesterday, in the peer groups, in the action groups, people share, and it gives strength in what you do, and it gives a sense of purpose, and it makes you feel impactful, actually, because you're not alone. And secondly, all of a sudden, it's a whole new way of doing business. And that's what's been permeating through everybody at the summit today, this realization that, we're not on our own. And this is a new way of doing business, and it feels really good. The collaborative way of sharing, the 2 days here and the 5 years, being part of this journey with you guys, I can really see like the depth of capacity building that is happening. And I think it's amazing. And I really have to kind of give a big call out to you and the team, Yasha, Lara, the whole team at Climate Choice. What an amazing job you're doing, because, from 1 year to the next, I see the depth of knowledge that is being built up here and how it just is growing in the community. And, there's people coming into this bubble, the sustainability procurement bubble. And some of them are going, oh my God, there's some really heavy duty questions going down. I didn't understand what was being said. And I thought, if you had run that by me 3 years ago, I wouldn't have either. But, we're all learning on this journey. And the one thing we have to remember is we need to keep the bubbles so that it's still open for people just starting out on this journey. So let's remember that,
Now, going to a conference is one thing, but what really counts is what you take back home. So what would it be for you?
Oh God, there were so many key insights today. There was so many, nearly in every interview. So one was I've learned how to change my language so that people that are not all about sustainability still understand what our mission is. So how do I speak to a CFO in his language? How do I talk about risk and how much and the cost of non-action? So that was a wonderful key learning somebody had taken from the breakout sessions and so on that they showed us, that they talked to me about today. Then there was the one about the power of the procurement team. All of a sudden, people that have been a bit hidden in the organization, all of a sudden in a seat of, I wouldn't say power, but a seat of action and a seat of impactful action. And that feels amazing. And the best example of that is the last interview I just had with Jamie from Bayer. Again, the camera had been turned off and he just said, what was so amazing, it was an amazing experience this year. We had, called out, we're going to speak to 100 suppliers this year, and the people that I had on the team, that their main job is not sustainability. So they were doing this on top of their everyday job, right? They're on top of their 8 hours. There was 4 of them. And they were saying, look, well, they're being careful. We might be able to speak to 10 suppliers this year. We're not really going to reach that target. And in the process and the empowerment they were feeling, they managed to get 6 or 7 other people on board into the team that felt engaged, that felt excited about this. And then they end up overshooting by, a mile. And at the end of the day, he said, it wasn't about the figures, it was about the engagement. And that's what we need to take home. And that's what's special about the Climate Transformation Summit or the work we do with Fairantwortung, where it's real people connecting again. And that's how we're going to change this world. It's the small ripples that come from the relationships we build with one another, and they will get bigger and bigger. And that's how we're going to elicit change.